15 tiny ways to simplify your life, a comprehensive breakdown. Hello dear friends, I'm Dr. Nalini Taneja, and in this video I want to talk about 15 ways you can really simplify your life. So let's start from digital detox strategies. Uh, First things I think you can easily do is unsubscribe from 10 email lists you have never read. Email subscriptions are the silent, cluttered terrorists of our digital lives, constantly bombarding us with unnecessary information and draining our mental energy. Start by meticulously reviewing every single email list you have subscribed to, ruthlessly eliminating those that don't provide any immediate value or joy. You can use amazing number of tools that are there. There is unroll.me with the process of mass unsubscribing so that it doesn't take your time. Remember that every unnecessary email is a tiny distraction that pulls you away from the most important task you're supposed to do. And it is by curating your digital inbox, you are not just managing your emails, you are protecting your most valuable resource, which is your attention. Second, and I've done this just yesterday, delete the apps that you are not using. Your smartphone is a wonderful, powerful tool. I'm recording this video on my smartphone, but it can also be a source of constant mental exhaustion if not managed carefully. Conduct a brutal audit of all your apps, identifying those that trigger negative emotions or consume your excessive time or contribute to your anxiety and constant comparison. Consider deleting those social media apps that make you feel inadequate and games that don't serve any purpose in your life or news apps that overwhelm you with constant and consistent negativity. Replace these energy draining apps with tools that would genuinely enhance your productivity. The digital minimalism isn't about deprivation, but about intentionally choosing apps that align with your values and support your mental well being. Third, I find it a little difficult to do this, but specific social media time limits. It can be a black hole of productivity and mental peace if it's left unchecked. When we start scrolling, we could spend 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, and before we know, we have spent hours upon hours just scrolling through, our social media apps. I think it's important for us to reduce that addiction that we have, and we can do that by just putting time limits to it. You can reclaim control over your digital consumption and redirect that energy to some meaningful activity. Maybe you can have a little balcony garden. Maybe you can start reading more. Maybe you can start singing. Maybe you could learn Zumba. I don't know. There are multiple things you could do. You could do yoga. But time is a limited resource. We all have only those 24 hours in a day. But if we become more aware and more understanding of where our time is going, we'll be able to probably take charge of our day in a more powerful manner. Another thing, when you talk about digital space, you can turn off your push notifications. These are like your modern day psychological warfare. They are constantly interrupting your focus and fragmenting your attention into tiny unproductive pieces. Go through each app on your phone and disable non-essential notifications. Create a hierarchy of importance. Allow notifications for direct messages from family and critical work communications. But other than that, just don't have your notifications on. Another important thing, I constantly talk about it on my Hindi channel also, and I want to share this with all of you, is create a digital sunset. Think that you will not use any screens 1 hour before you go to bed. The blue light from the screens disrupts your natural sleep cycles, reducing the melatonin production, which is important for your sleep, and undermining your body's ability to rest and recover. Establish a strict digital sunset rule where all your screens will be turned off at least 1 hour before your intended bedtime, creating a sacred transition zone between digital activity and sleep. Replace it by reading physical books. You could replace it by journaling. You could replace it by meditation. You could replace it by stretching or having meaningful conversations with your family members. But invest in this habit, because this habit can help you to enhance your sleep. And now so much research is going in the direction that what happens to our bodies if we don't give it adequate time for resting and recovering. Now, let's talk about physical space decluttering. One of the things which I learned many, many years ago was whenever I buy one thing, I will get rid of one thing. So it is one in, one out rule for my clothes. Now, this one in, one out rule clothing is a strategy to prevent clothing clutter from overwhelming your living space. We have limited storage space in our houses. We are, fortunately or unfortunately, the walls of our wardrobes don't expand. I believe that they would expand for many, many years and I would keep dumping and buying clothes. But if we become intentional about what we wear, choosing quality over quantity and items that truly spark joy, which, Marie Kondo talks about, when she talks about things that bring joy, we should have only those around, it is a game changer for you. We can regularly donate or remove the items that we have, ensuring that they find a new home and continue to be useful. This approach transforms shopping from a mindless activity or mindless consumerism to thoughtful curation. I think when we buy something which brings and sparks joy, whenever we will wear it, we will enjoy it more. And it brings like, oh, I'm looking good. I like this. This feels nice next to my body. The idea of having less things, but things that bring us joy, quality things, is something, once you develop a habit, you will not go back to buying quantity. It's a game changer. Trust me on this one. Next top habit for physical space decluttering is any spaces that you have in your house. It could be a drawer, it could be the shelves of your cupboard, it could be a book rack. Once a week, you can pick up one drawer, one shelf, and you can start to clean it. Cleaning or decluttering doesn't need to be an overwhelming marathon. It can be a gentle, consistent practice of small wins. You can choose one drawer or shelf each week and commit to completely emptying it, cleaning it, and then thoughtfully reorganizing its content. Use this opportunity to ruthlessly evaluate each item's current utility and emotional significance, cleaning it and creating an intentional relationship with your possessions. Create 3 piles. You could create 3 boxes. You could take, cardboard boxes. Keep, donate, and discard, ensuring that each item you retain serves a purpose or brings genuine joy to you. I always give the example of this pen. I've had this pen for about, 10 years now? 10 or 12 years. It's a Parker pen. It was, I bought it many years ago. And whenever I hold this pen, I have this fascination for black pens. And whenever I hold it, I have of course changed the refill over the time period. But other than that, the quality is good. One pen, whenever I use it, whenever I take it out, it looks nice. And it gives me so much joy because I have taken care of it over the years. When we start to doing that, then, and we do little things, you just little drawer, your stationery drawer, you do it and give away things, then it creates like a method in your madness, and your decluttering your physical spaces becomes an empowering ritual and more or less like a meditative practice. Another thing, donate anything and everything that you haven't used in a year. There are people who say, there are a lot of theories about donations and giving away things, that they're saying things that you have not seen in 3 months, you should donate it. A book that you haven't read in 6 months, you should donate it. But I think our possessions often carry emotional weight far beyond their practical utility, and they create barrier to our personal freedom and to our simplicity. So you could implement a strict 1-year rule. If you haven't used an item in the past 12 months, it's time for you to let it go and allow it to serve someone else. You can take photographs of your sentimental items you're struggling to release, and by preserving that memory in your phone, but you can research your local donation centers, your house help. Sometimes I often wonder why people give the worst things as donations. And even with what you're giving it to the other person can also not use it because it's such a bad shape. I think it's a great idea to give away things when they are in a decent shape and people can use it. So use that 1 year rule. If I've not used something in the last 1 year, I'm going to give it away. Another thing, you can create a wardrobe which is minimalistic in nature. So you can focus on creating a capsule wardrobe with neutral or high quality pieces that can be mixed and matched to create multiple outfits. You could start with a color scheme, you could start with a color palette which is complementary, and you can also do combinations with minimal pieces. Many years ago, I think I learned it from a French friend of mine who taught me that she has basic pieces very less, but she would have a scarf, she would have a nice bag, she would have a hat, and she would complement those basic pieces and create like outfits from each piece by using different accessories. You could probably try to do that. Another thing is that when we think of decluttering, we need to remember that there is a 20-20 rule for decluttering. And basically, which means if you can replace an item within 20 minutes, give yourself give yourself permission to let it go without any guilt or hesitation, and it should not cost you. Usually it's in dollar terms $20, but 20 rupees, right? This rule helps overcome the scarcity mindset that keeps us holding on to unnecessary items. One thing I learned from my friend, Korean friend, was this, that she said, I don't need to buy anything and everything which is available in the market. The markets are not going to close down. It is important for me to buy things only when I need them. If I know myself well enough, then I can actually differentiate between my needs and my wants. So the question then arises is, do you know yourself well? Have you ever bothered to sit down and figure out what is it that makes me me? What is unique about me? What are these wonderful qualities that I possess which make me a special human being? Or what are my likes and dislikes? So instead of hoarding things, instead of keeping on collecting things, maybe you could start a journey of figuring out what makes you special. Why is it that you are a living miracle? Think about that. Know what works for you. And then start to buy things or organize your home around things that bring you joy. Continuing on this topic, I also feel our mental health is very important. And for our mental health, because we have this bombardment of news, negativity, thoughts that come to us, maybe it's not a bad idea to calm and declutter your mind. You could start a mindfulness practice. It could be, you could probably, download some apps like Headspace, which have multiple meditations, which help you to just sit quietly. You could practice some simple breathing techniques, and you could introduce mindfulness in your routine. You could use a consistent time each day. You could also probably, before you sleep, do a mindful practice. And just, what is mindfulness practice? Just see your thoughts coming and going, but not running away with them. And when you start to do that, you'll be amazed over a time period, and it changes from person to person. This is one suggestion I give to so many of my clients. You will see your mind getting calmer and quieter. Another thing that I highly recommend to a lot of my clients is journaling. Every day journal for 10 minutes. It could be 10 minutes of uninterrupted writing, allowing your thoughts to flow without judgment or editing. You can just keep a journal and a pen by your side, either early morning or before you sleep, and you can just pour your heart into your journal. It can be as simple as just writing what you are grateful for. And it's not about creating the perfect prose and using the best of languages. It's just about creating a daily ritual of self-reflection and mental release. Another thing that you can do is to learn to say no. Why so many of us have a problem creating boundaries? Saying no or creating boundaries in your life is not about anyone else. When you create boundaries, when you say no, you give permission to yourself to live your life your way. Recognize this, that no is a complete sentence, and you don't owe anybody a detailed account of why you are choosing not to do something. Develop phrases like, I appreciate the invitation, but it doesn't work for me, or thank you for thinking of me, but I don't think I can join you in this movie, or I cannot join you in this particular party. Remember that every no to something unnecessary is a your yes to something that truly matters to you. Another very important thing, and brings me to my 14th point, is please, please, please set boundaries with energy draining people. These people are going to sap you of your positivity, and they will always leave you feeling anxious or stressed or depressed in the first case, or completely depleted. You need to control your interactions or exposure to such people. This could mean avoiding contact or reducing contact with them. It could mean being very selective about the kind of time you spend with them. And it also means you need to understand that you cannot save the world. You need to understand whatever situations people have, your biggest priority and your biggest uh, focus should be saving your energy. Your mental health is a priority, and you should protect it as an act of self-respect towards yourself. And last but not the least, I have saved the best for the last, which is practice gratitude. List 3 things daily that you are grateful for, and that will shift your focus towards what is abundant in your life. Commit to writing any 3 things which you are genuinely grateful for. It could be from small things like you have a house to live in, which is not a small thing actually, it's a big thing, or beautiful moments. And it could also be about the fact that you have good health, the people you love have good health, which is, I think, the greatest benediction that anybody can have. And it could also be the fact that you are probably a great cook. You can buy a small journal, 10, 20, 30 rupees, it can go up to thousands, and use, to use that journal to write and reflect upon the positive aspects of your life, which will in turn reduce your stress, and it will increase your overall mental resilience. So these are the 15 habits or 15 activities, I would say, that you can do to make your life more beautiful and less stressful. We owe it to ourselves to create the best life that we can live. We have to focus and bring the attention back to ourselves. The social media, the magazines, the newspapers, the world we live in forces us to go farther and farther and farther away from who we really are. And who are we? We are absolutely living miracles. My company, which is called I'm Enough Training Group, believes in that fact. I am enough. So bring back the attention and focus to you, and cut the clutter that is around you. Because when you do that and you simplify your life, you are giving yourself the opportunity to live your life your way. You're giving yourself the space to respect yourself and be compassionate and kind to yourself, because you owe it to yourself. I hope you will follow some of these suggestions, and if you like this video, or if you have comments to make of things that you're already following, please do write to me. I love to read your comments. And at the same time, I do hope that your life becomes simplified, because that is the way you will take your life to the next level. That's it from my end today. I will catch up with you very soon. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe, share, or like, and click on the icon, the bell icon, so that you get a notification as and when a new video is published. Thanks for now.